Did you know that by the time you reach 80, you've lived through nearly 30,000 sunrises? That's 30,000 mornings. Each one a chance to learn, grow, and pass on a little wisdom. If you're in your 50s or beyond, I want to talk to you today about something precious. The lessons only time can teach. I'm 80 years young, and let me tell you, life has a way of showing you what truly matters. Maybe you're starting to feel those little aches more, or you catch yourself thinking, where did the time go? But here's the beautiful thing. Every year, every wrinkle, every gray hair carries a story. And if you're willing to listen, I'd love to share a few truths that have made my journey richer. In this video, we'll talk about how to embrace aging with grace, find joy in the everyday, and make the most of the years ahead. Whether it's staying active, keeping your mind sharp, or nurturing relationships that matter. These lessons aren't just for surviving, they're for thriving. So stick around, because what I've learned just might change the way you see your own life. Now, let's start with something simple but powerful. Movement. You've probably heard it 100 times. Stay active. But let me tell you why it's not just about living longer, but living better. My friend Martha, at 78, swore she was too old for exercise. Then her grandkids got her walking to the mailbox every day. Just that little bit of movement led to longer walks, then gardening. And now, she's the one organizing the neighborhood walking group. The secret isn't running marathons. It's finding what you enjoy, whether it's dancing, swimming, or even chair yoga. Your body is designed to move, and when you do, it thanks you with energy, strength, and even a brighter mood. And while we're on the topic of health, let's talk about food. Not diets, not restrictions, just real, nourishing food. My neighbor Frank, at 75, used to live on frozen dinners. Then his doctor said, "Frank, you're treating your body like a junk drawer." So he started small. A banana with breakfast, a handful of nuts instead of chips. Now, he grows tomatoes in his backyard and says he hasn't felt this good in years. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. A colorful plate, plenty of water, and maybe swapping that third cup of coffee for herbal tea. Your body knows what to do with goodness when you give it the chance. But here's something even more important than what's on your plate, what's on your mind. You've heard use it or lose it, right? Well, it's true. My brother-in-law, Henry, retired at 65 and spent his days in front of the TV. Within a year, he felt foggy, forgetful. Then he started doing crossword puzzles, joined a book club, and even learned to play the harmonica. Badly, he'd say, but with joy. Your brain is like a muscle. It thrives on challenge. Read, learn, laugh, debate. Curiosity keeps you young in ways numbers never can. Now, I know this is a lot to take in, but here's the good news. You don't have to do it all at once. Start small. Take that walk. Swap one snack. Pick up a book you've been meaning to read. And if this resonates with you, I'd love for you to hit that like button and share it with someone who might need to hear it. It's these little connections that keep us all moving forward. And speaking of connections, let's talk about something even deeper. The people who make life worth living. Because after 80 years, I can tell you this. The moments that matter most aren't about things. They're about hearts. But we'll save that for the next part. You know, when I was in my 50s, I used to think that success was about how much I could achieve. The promotions, the savings account, the perfectly kept house. But now, at 80, I've realized something far more important. Success is about how much you can connect. The relationships we nurture with family, friends, even strangers who become like family are the real treasures of life. Take my friend Eleanor, for example. At 72, she lost her husband of 50 years. For months, she barely left the house. Then one day, her granddaughter asked her to teach her how to bake her famous apple pie. That simple act, passing down a recipe, sharing stories, became a lifeline. Now, Eleanor hosts a weekly baking and stories gathering in her kitchen. It's not just about the pie, it's about the laughter, the tears, the living that happens around that table. And that's my first lesson for you today. Don't wait for the right time to reach out. Call that old friend you've been meaning to reconnect with. Invite your neighbor over for coffee. Say yes to the family gathering, even if you're tired. Loneliness can creep up as we age, but so can joy, if we let people in. Now let's talk about something we don't always want to face. Letting go. Not of people, but of expectations. When I turned 70, I realized I was still holding on to this idea of how life should look. I thought I needed to keep up with the Joneses, even if the Joneses were half my age. Then I met a man named George at the community center. At 78, he'd sold his big house, downsized to a cozy apartment, and told me, "I spent decades worrying about stuff. Now I just want time. Time to read, time to sit in the sun, time with my grandkids." That hit me hard. Why was I still stressing about a spotless house or keeping up with trends? So I started letting go. Of clutter, of old grudges, of the idea that I had to do everything perfectly. And you know what? It felt like a weight lifted. That's the second lesson. Simplify. Keep what brings you joy, and release what doesn't. Your peace of mind is worth more than any possession. But here's the thing. Simplifying doesn't mean stopping. One of the biggest myths about aging is that you're supposed to slow down, step back, become invisible. Nonsense. My friend Rosalind, at 82, decided to learn Italian just because she'd always wanted to. Now she video calls her language buddy in Rome every week. She says it's like her brain has a new spark. That's the third lesson. Keep growing. Try something that scares you a little, whether it's painting, a new technology, or even just cooking a dish you've never made before. Growth doesn't retire. And when you stay curious, you stay alive in the best sense of the word. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Have you ever picked up a new hobby later in life? Or reconnected with someone who made a difference? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. And if this video is speaking to you, don't forget to hit that like button and share it with someone who might need a little inspiration today. It's amazing how much good we can spread with just a few clicks. And speaking of good, there's one more thing we need to talk about. Something that shapes every day of our lives, yet we rarely give it the attention it deserves. But we'll get to that in the next part. There's a question I've been asked more than any other in my 80 years. What's the secret to a happy life? And for the longest time, I thought the answer was complicated. Some grand formula of health, wealth, and wisdom. But now, with 8 decades behind me, I'll tell you the truth. Happiness isn't found in the extraordinary moments. It's tucked into the ordinary ones. The morning light through your kitchen window. The way your old dog still wags its tail when you walk in. The first sip of tea from your favorite chipped mug. That's the first lesson I want to leave you with today. Pay attention to the small things. My friend Walter, at 85, keeps what he calls a gratitude jar. Every evening, he writes down one little thing that made him smile. A grandchild's joke, the smell of rain, a stranger's kindness. On hard days, he pulls out those slips of paper and remembers how much goodness is still there. You don't need a jar to do this, just a pause, a breath, a moment to notice. Now, let's talk about something we often avoid. Regrets. I've had my share. Chances not taken, words left unsaid. But here's what I've learned. Regrets only weigh you down if you let them. My cousin Lorraine spent years mourning the career she didn't pursue. Then, at 75, she started volunteering at a community theater. Turns out she's a brilliant stage manager. "All that time I wasted wishing," she told me, "when I could have been doing." So here's the second lesson. Don't let yesterday take up too much of today. It's never too late to start singing or apologizing or changing course. The past is a place to visit, not a place to live. And finally, the most important lesson of all, be kind to yourself. We're so quick to offer grace to others but deny it to ourselves. If your knees creak, if you forget names, if you need an afternoon nap, that's not failure. That's living. My neighbor Ida, at 90, still greets every morning by saying, "Well, old girl, we made it another day. Let's see what we can do with it." So here's my challenge to you. Tomorrow morning, look in the mirror and say something kind to yourself. Then go out and add a little more kindness to the world. Hold a door, share a smile, tell someone they matter. That's how legacies are built. Not in grand gestures, but in tiny human ones. Before I go, I want to thank you for spending this time with me. If these lessons resonated with you, do me a favor. Hit that like button, share this with someone who might need it, and subscribe if you haven't already. Every click tells me these conversations matter. And remember, however many years you've lived, however many sunrises you've seen, your story isn't over yet. The best chapters might still be ahead. Here's to living them well.